Welcome to another season of Muslims and Mental Health. Today we are going to start off by talking about reminiscence or life review. This became an important issue to me as I was looking at our community and particularly the population of the elderly. Our senior population has a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge that is both beneficial and very useful to our community in general. As people progress through the life stages, oftentimes they have lots of different activities and events, life events, and challenges that they don't get to process necessarily because life moves too quickly. Emergency type of things happen, and there just isn't time to really think about and process what happened, what that meant to that person, how it affected their life, and so forth. But they get into a state where they start to question the meaning of their lives. And as the older they become, there's an increasing tendency to wonder, did I make the right choices? What does my life mean now? Where am I going? What is going to happen to me when I die? And so reminiscence or life reviews are one tool we can use to make that transition and that stage of life much easier for our elders. Now, reminiscence is something that's been studied by a number of different psychological scholars, starting with Weiss in 1989 and Kaufman in 2000. And it has continued to be something that has been studied in the areas of gerontology and psychology, marriage and family therapy, and many of the different fields that conduct therapy. So we would like to add to this aspect of the field ourselves in our own community with the wealth of knowledge that exists in our community. One of the ways we can do this is to contribute our own historical life reviews. Now, there are many different reasons to do a life review, and I'm going to go over really, mashallah, amazing organization doing work that's much needed and we really need to have done within our community. They give lots of different services like exercise and activities and a social outlet for our seniors who oftentimes find themselves lonely in the latter stages of their lives because of people moving away, people passing away, and so this gives them a sense of a mission, a place to go and enjoy themselves, their own third space, so to speak. So I really appreciate the work that they're doing and for them to have given me this opportunity. So we started a life review there and a wealth of information came forward, and it just meant so much to me to have had the experience that I would like to really continue this experience, but more broadly across our community. Now, life reviews focus on analyzing, evaluating, and coming to terms with unpleasant and unhappy previous experiences, as well as the happy experiences. There are 5 types of which is also associated with successful aging. And it helps individuals to pass along their cultural heritage and their personal legacy to others. So it's more of like storytelling and moral instruction. One of the takeaways with the seniors that I worked with in Orange County was that they mentioned in their villages before they immigrated to the United States that maybe only one person had studied Quran or had the benefit of learning the knowledge of Islam to pass on to the entire village, and how important education was, Islamic education particularly, because it was so hard to have access to. And so, I mean, that was so powerful and profound. And I think that it's an important lesson for us to know, because if we don't realize our history and where we came from, it's hard for us to realize where we have come to. Because access to an Islamic education here in America is now readily available if we choose to access it. So we have that opportunity that our forefathers, grandfathers, grandmothers did not have. And so that's to better our history, right? So with the first two that I discussed, integrative and transmissive reminiscence, in those two types of successful aging with life review, you are subject to somebody else interacting with you and helping you understand, either indirectly by you're just speaking about it and then you're thinking about it in a different space, right? So let's say you're asked the question of what was your earliest childhood memory? Well, you're going to remember that as a child. And when you're talking with somebody, now you're an adult. So you're seeing it from a different point of view than you saw it when you were a child. So having that subjective and interactive piece allows you to actually put more pieces of context into the memory. It allows you to perhaps transcend a memory that was negative or traumatic. It helps to integrate the full context, because now as an adult you have more of the pieces and understanding of what was happening at that time, which is different than your child's point of view. Valuable. It was highlighted in this popular movie that's a little bit old now, but it was called The Notebook. I don't know if you recall this movie, but it was a love story. And in the movie, the identified patient had Alzheimer's. And she wrote the story of her love affair with her husband down so that when she would start to forget, he could read her the story to bring her memories back to her. And it was a very effective tool in treating her memory loss. But just as in that movie, an autobiographical form of reminiscence is just as valuable as the first two types. The first two types are just a little fuller and allow us a little bit more information, but this one is good too. A fourth type is called instrumental reminiscence, and it's associated with successful aging. It helps individuals to obtain subjective perceptions of competence and continuity through recollections of their past plans, their attainment of goals, and their successful problem solving. In other words, did they reach the accomplishments that they set out to? And to what extent did they or did they not reach those? And it helps people kind of evaluate and take a breath. They weren't able to fully acculturate into America, right? And so they romanticize the past of where they used to live, and they kind of get stuck there. And rather than seeing where they live now, they kind of get stuck where they were, and so it doesn't allow them to breathe and be free in the environment that they're in. And so many of their thoughts about the present and the future have become now dark instead of hopeful or thinking that there's possibilities, right? They tend to be more on the depressive side and dark because they're stuck in the past. So that's what we call escapist reminiscence. Last type is called obsessive reminiscence, and it is also a negative type of life review or reminiscence. It can actually inhibit successful aging, and it takes the escapist part a little bit further and puts people into a state of despair or bitterness or having guilt about their past, right? They've done something that they don't feel good about, they punish themselves over, they're not sure that they did the right thing, and so they get stuck there, and they haven't been able to get out of that. Negative for them to remember. So the overall goal for reminiscence and life reviews is to be sort of cathartic. And what do we mean by cathartic? That we are able to, if you think about the heart, and you've heard of catheterizations, it's this idea that you clean out the heart, right? So with being cathartic, we're going to clean out what's on somebody's heart, help them have, a cleaner heart, a more pure heart. And with there are opportunities with the life review to be integrative, instrumental, transmissive, the narrative, and then the two negative ones, the escapist and obsessive, right? But the outcomes from the life reviews can be very positive. And what we anticipate when we do them is that we can enhance self-worth, we can reconcile past issues and events, we can bring people full circle, so they feel like my life has come full circle now. I understand the meaning of what I was here for, where I'm going. Oftentimes, we get into discussions around what people believe hereafter, and it can make the ease of this transition from the dunya to the hereafter a much smoother one, so that they have something to look to do that. So let's look at the session stages of how one does a life review. You can start with many different types of topics to get things going, like, a haircut or a reunion or Eid morning. All of these can be stems for starting the conversation. And you're going to first have a recollection of an event, right, as the person recalls it. And then you're going to evaluate the event. So changes that have come about as because new information has become available, either from other parties or from self-reflection. And then you're going to synthesize the two of the recollection and the evaluation into a new memory and reorganizing the information so that the self-perceptions can be revised. And this is how you fully integrate all the information from both the past and the present and the different viewpoints, the different vantage points. So an example of this could be something like a person remembers what they received one Eid morning. They received a toy. evaluation process to integrate the experience. Oh, okay, so mom wasn't mad at me particularly, like there wasn't something wrong with me. It was the disappointment because she had made a sacrifice to get me this. Now I have more context as to what was happening, and I don't have to feel like that bad child anymore. I can put it in relative terms. She was disappointed. I was a child. I accidentally left it behind. And so you can then move forward from maybe something that was very hurtful. So that's one example. And it also tells us something about that generational living, right? So sometimes adults keep things to themselves that they don't want children to know. And so there's that perspective as well, because at this point the elder has become an adult, and they themselves probably have kept things from their children that they didn't want them to know. And so it brings things full circle. Conversation starters are short and open-ended. Some of them include things like, what is your favorite holiday? What made it special? Did your family have any traditions? What was it like when you were in school? What was your favorite job? Your first job? What were your birthdays like in your family? What was one thing you'd like your grandchildren? So that you yourself can actually try to have this life review with yourself or your friends. And if you find that you come to a place where you have some difficulty or some memories that are negative that you want to work through, you can always get a therapist to help you do this life review and work through it. And you can seek a therapist by calling 1-833-2-MUSLIM. That's 1-833, the number 2, MUSLIM. We have referral line specialists who will help you to find a therapist in your area. We also can create things like memory boxes. So after you do the life review, you can create a memory box that contains some of the important items that you've discussed during your life review. Some of the benefits are that it decreases depression and confusion, it decreases boredom, it increases well-being, enjoyment, it helps people develop friendships when you do it in a group. You can engage in conversation, maintain family contacts, teach and inform your family about different things, identify and solve problems, prepare for your end of life, increase your socialization with other elders in a group, and then maintain your cognitive action, reaffirm a sense of your own identity, bring pleasure in sharing your plans with others. It can increase your socialization and decrease loneliness. It can stimulate your cognitive processes in your brain, and it can provide feelings of competence in your long-term memory. It also allows you to express your feelings, come to terms with old disappointments, discover similarities with others, and increase your own awareness of what you find as leisurely. So as we can see, I hope you're able to see from this short piece about life reviews and reminiscence that they can be quite important and beneficial. So I really, really encourage you to take time to do your own life review. And again, we will have instructions on how to do this on the center site at www.ctr4muslimmentalhealth.com, where you can access and you can also submit your own life review. You can send it to our email because we, again, would like to collect this. You'll find all the information on the website, but we'd like to collect this and start our own American Muslim family histories so that we can learn the lessons from our elders now for the future. Again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.